look at the video of the game against the Blues, and what did you learn from it?
That you can win a game with set piece on its own. I think that obviously it was good how much easier the game can be if you get a significant upper hand. I think that we learned that, and also we left a lot out there really. They were the two things that we had. Good fundamentals of the game. We defended well. Our set piece went well. And as a result, we managed to get a stranglehold on the game. The disappointing thing is that we probably didn't get enough reward, i.e. bonus point wise, for the dominance that we had. So yeah, there's still plenty to do here for sure.
What did you make of Ivan Phillips's performance? He was man of the match. Did it surprise you? You've got 4 quality hookers there. Well, what did you think of Ivan's performance?
Yeah, Ivan was very good. He's he had a pretty fragmented pre-season, which meant he sort of came in a little bit late, so he had to sort of muscle his way into the party. If you see, and you saw how well Sam Parry went, and obviously his international call-up. And as you say, we've got competition for places there, and ultimately, as a coach's dream, what you want is as much competition in each position as you can get, and that means you can still maintain a quality even through injury and lack of form. So yeah, I think he's become the beneficiary, and whether people saw or knew about him at the start, he's muscled his way in and played exceptionally well.
How difficult is it for you, Toby, to work out some kind of pecking order down there at hooker?
It's not really. I think it's very we've got the similar stuff at Loosehead. We're building some strength in depth in the centres, for example, in the midfield. So look, we just have to be really consistent on the messages that we give and the work-ons. And the part of our cultural bit is we understand that we have to manage disappointment and support the team. So that's part of it. And if we all do that and people perform at their best, then further improvements in performance occur.
Well, what did you make of your 2 young second rows there? You've relied heavily in the past, the Ospreys, on Bradley Davis and Ali Wynne-Jones. What did you make of the youngsters and effectively the next generation? Are you seeing convincing signs now that these guys are coming through and settling in the first team?
Well, the exciting thing for the Ospreys fans and for ourselves is that, as I said, we talk about strength in depth, and those guys you mentioned, are international players or former international players, and they serve the club really, really well. But what we need to do is get the very best out of them, and continue to play well when they're not around. So when people are out on international duty. So strength in depth, again, it's another example of what we were just talking about. So those boys have really stepped up. I think Adam Beard's been absolutely brilliant in the way that he's led that forward pack, and we're developing him not just as a rugby player but as a leader, and the boys are really buying into that. And then you've got the emergence of Rhys Davies, and you've got a bit of senior support from Lloyd and bits and pieces. So yeah, we would like a little bit more strength in depth, because currently a couple of those boys are injured, but they've given an opportunity like a lot of the youngsters have, and they've stepped up and taken it.
Can you give us some kind of injury updates on Scott Williams? Would kick off with, and then you've got Alan Wynne, Gareth Anscombe. Anything else happened to them over the last week? Perhaps Keelan Giles and maybe Corey Allen. So you've got 5 players there.
Corey Allen's still in his long-term rehab. He's basically seeing a specialist this week, so we'll have some better idea around that. I told you didn't believe me that Gareth Anscombe was running. I told you, didn't I? And you saw the video, and now you believe me. He's running. I told you. So he's running. Al Wynne is up and about, which is good. He's out of his brace and bits and pieces, so he's looked like he's making great progress and bounding around like a spring lamb. Keelan Giles will be involved this weekend, so that's great for him, for a young man coming back from some long-term injury. So he's going to be involved around the match day squad this weekend. So that obviously answers that question. Who have I missed?
Scott Williams.
Oh, Scott Williams. Yeah, he had a real freak accident, actually, a freak collision, and he's got a scapular injury that looks like it will be long term. I think he's fractured his scapula, so that's going to count him out for a number of weeks, and we'll see. Obviously, he's back when he's back, and when we've got the medical say so that he can come back to training.
With Alan Wynne, you say that he's bounding round out of his brace, etc. Are his hopes of making the start of the Six Nations improved?
If you ask Al, he'll be playing the first game. So he's very confident and assured that he can be involved. Whether he's got a lot of historical training in him, so the transition back into playing is easier if you're of that mindset and got that bank of experience. But ultimately, the one thing that he prides himself on is his physical performance. So I'm sure between the relevant medical and S&C departments, they'll have that in mind. But I can't give you whether he's going to or not, because to be honest, I don't know.
What about the Dragons this weekend? They've lost their last couple of games in the derbies, and obviously had a lot of virus problems in Europe before that. Big opportunity to get an away win?
I think it's a very hard opportunity. I think that we obviously played them in my very first game here. We're very competitive. I know obviously I know Dean Ryan exceptionally well from my time in the Premiership. I know that he drives a mentality and a winning culture. So I think that's a really strong thing to overcome. So we're going to need to be at our best, and just like we are, they're starting out pretty early on their journey and trying to improve. So I'm sure that it's going to be a very, very tough contest, as I'm told any Welsh derby always is.
How much of a pain in the backside is it for an experienced coach like you to be juggling all these extra considerations, not just injuries and form, but who has to be tested when and where, and who they have contact with, and so on and so on?
Yeah, it's definitely a different level. I don't enjoy a 10-inch cotton wool bud being stuffed down my throat and up my nose every week either. So it's not a fantastic experience. I won't lie to you, but no, it's what we are. And the one thing about professional sports people and coaches alike, you have to be resilient and adaptable, and that's a massive attribute on the pitch and off it. So we're 100% COVID free again this week, which is a massive testament to the diligence of everyone involved. That's no reflection on others, because this doesn't discriminate, and it's just one of those opportunities. But where you can mitigate risk, we need to do that, and it appears on outcome value that we're doing that well, and long may that continue, not just for us but for everyone and for the general public, because we want to get back to normal as quickly as we can.
Toby, are you excited about the prospect of seeing Keelan Giles back on the pitch?
Yeah, really excited. I mean, we've been very cautious with him in relation to as such a young man and such a fast twitch athlete. Comes from a very a place of speed and agility, and those sort of injuries require management if you're that sort of player. So he's got through a number of weeks now, and he's got confidence in his body. And that's the most important thing. And if you've got confidence in your body, despite all the time out, you'll go out and and throw yourself into it. You don't want to be tentative, because ultimately that potentially is where the problems come. But it's brilliant to see him. He's confident. He's buzzing. He's very excited about being involved. And it got the biggest cheer of the day when we announced the match day squad, and he was involved with it.